الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. So we continue with our khawatir as far as the fiqh of the da'iyah, and we are all of us who are callers for this deen, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, none of you will be a true believer until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And what we love for ourselves the most is Islam. So we want to share it with others, inshallah. So last khatira was about what? Huh? Anybody? You see, because you don't take notes. Huh? No. In this topic, khatira, last khatira was about what? Somebody wants to become Muslim and he puts a condition. Allah, this is the last time I'm gonna bail you out. Otherwise, it doesn't work this way. Because this is something very important and we cover that. Today we're gonna cover the topic related to the young people becoming Muslim. What is the ruling or that? And in Islam, when we say young people, we are talking about what? Under the age of puberty. But here also we have to take into consideration the law of the land. The law of the land, a minor is somebody who is under 18. So be careful on that. So if somebody comes younger than 18 wants to become Muslim, you need to be careful and see, are your parents okay, and that and so on. But in Islam, the age of puberty is when you reach one of the four signs, as we mentioned, either wet dream and or the pubic hair, or what else for the boy, or the age. Some people just say this and that, but I think around 15 if there is no signs. And the same three apply to the female plus one, which is to start her menses. So we need to be careful on this with our daughters, and sometimes because they may reach the age of puberty, but in my mind, no, the age of puberty is 15. While some girls, they may reach the age of puberty at 12 or 11 or something, and we need to be careful with that. So, a number one rule, that if the young boys or girls, and they belong to parents that they are not Muslim, they take the rulings of their parents. So we treat them like their parents, that they are not Muslim. Now we're going to talk about when the parents, few cases. Number one, the parents become Muslims, both of them. What is the ruling of the children under the age of puberty? They are what? Muslims. So take this rule, because they follow the deen of the parents. So that is consensus among the scholars. And number two, the father becomes Muslim, but the mother doesn't become Muslim. What is the rulings of the kids under the age of puberty? Are they Muslim or not? They are Muslim because of the father. What about if the opposite, the mother becomes Muslim and the father doesn't? Here there is differences among the scholars. The majority of the scholars, they say they are Muslims. Why? Because they say Islam is what? Is the deen of the fitrah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all of us as Muslim. كل مولود يولد. Every newborn is born on the fitrah. And what is the fitrah? Islam. فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله. That's why the Prophet ﷺ has said any newborn is born on the fitrah. What makes him something else besides the fitrah, which is Islam, is what? His parents. His parents make him Jew or Christian or what? Or fire worshipper. أو يمجسانه. But he didn't say يسلمانه, because that is the rule. And there are another opinion that it says that no, If the mother becomes Muslim, the children are not Muslim. But I think the opinion of the majority of the scholar is the authentic one. Another scenario, when the parents didn't become Muslim, but the grandfather become Muslim. What's the ruling of the kids? In this case, unanimously agreed that the kids are not Muslim, because the parents that matter here. Now the main topic is when a child, and when we say child, it means what? Boy or girl. That's why, please, sometimes we translate the wrong translation. When we say, when somebody died, all his deeds comes to an end except three things. And number one, sadaqah jariyah, a continuous charity. Or number two, علم ينتفع به, somebody who lives behind him knowledge that benefits people. And third one, ولد صالح يدعو له. The translation we said a boy, a pious boy. No, walad here means boy or girl. What is the proof? Huh? Yeah, you say something without proof. Allah says in the Quran, يوصيكم الله في أولادكم إيش؟ للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين. So whenever you mentioned walad in Islam does not mean boy. It means a child. So now the child that before the age of puberty, because after the age of puberty, he's an adult, he's a man. You remember what we said in the khutbah? Once you reach the age of puberty, you are a man. You need to be a man, manhood. And we're going to talk about this, inshallah, if Allah permits. But we are talking about somebody under the age of puberty. And he is above the age of, we have two ages in Islam that we need to pay attention. One is the age of puberty, and the other one is the age of tamyiz. You remember tamyiz. Tamyiz, that he knows what he's doing. Even though he didn't reach the age of puberty, and in Islam it's 7. Why 7? And where do we get 7 from? Yes. Command your children to pray at the age of 7. Because at the age of 7, subhanAllah, they will understand what they are doing. So before that, you don't command them. But at the age of 7, you command them. So at the age of 7 or 8, 9, 10, he decided or she decided to become Muslim. What is the ruling? Is their Islam accepted or not accepted or what? So their Islam is accepted. And subhanAllah, this is the beauty of Islam. If the child does something wrong before the age of puberty, Allah will hold him or her accountable or not? Huh? But when they do something good, Allah will reward them. A woman came to the Prophet ﷺ and he was carrying a boy. He's still young. And she said, Ya Rasulullah, Ali hada hajj. Because she was doing hajj with her little son. Is this hajj will be counted for him? He will be rewarded, not counted, because it will not be counted. Why? Because he didn't reach the age of puberty. But she told him, I mean, he will be rewarded for that. He said, yes. And also you will have reward because you made him make hajj. So in Islam, if the child under the age of puberty does anything good, Allah will reward him. Sama'at ya Ahmed? So all these prayers goes into your scale of good deeds. And also the brothers, if they encourage you, they take with you. And Baba and Mama takes with you. May Allah reward you. You are giving them a lot of reward. So when he become Muslim or she become Muslim, is accepted. And there are many proofs that we're going to go. There are some opinion that says, and I think this is the Shafi'i opinion, they said no, it will not accept it from him in this dunya. But in Akhirah, Allah will reward him and it's accepted. But I think the opinion of the majority of the scholar is more authentic for many reasons. We're going to count them and we're going to finish inshallah. Why? لأن Islam is the al-asl. So when he said, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله, he just went to the root. That's why many times we correct this. When somebody becomes Muslim, we don't see that he convert. He revert. Somebody live in Islam, he convert. But becoming a Muslim, you made a U-turn. And you come back to the asl, subhanallah. And we mentioned the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And number two, and we talked about it, somebody who was little and he became Muslim. Who is this person? Ali. But what we mentioned, the story of the Jew. You know, the Prophet, he went to visit his neighbor because the boy, he was a Jewish boy, and he used to serve the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we talk about the fiqh of this hadith. So the Prophet went to visit him. He was sick. And the Prophet took the opportunity to invite him to Islam. Then the boy looked at his father like, what do you think? He said, Ubay Abul Qasim. Listen and follow him. Always when I read this hadith, I said, Subhanallah. While you are telling him to obey the Prophet, what about you? That tells you we don't have control over our hearts. Who has the control of our hearts? He flip it the way he wants. And the boy become Muslim. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if it was not accepted to invite him to Islam, is a waste of time, is nonsense. And number three, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave da'wah to another boy. He was under the age of puberty. And who is this boy? No. Somebody that the companions, even the Prophet himself, they used to think that he is Dajjal. Who is this boy? Who said it? Takbir. Because of Dajjal, I will not give you anything. Ibn Sayyad, Sahaba used to think he's Dajjal. Until the end of the companion, they differ. Some of them, they said he's Dajjal. And the Prophet ﷺ, one time he went to him and he asked him, do you believe that I am the messenger of Allah, and do you testify that there is no God but? So the Prophet ﷺ gave him da'wah. The other one, that Islam is different than the act of Islam. The act of Islam, to be accepted from you, you have to have the age of puberty. But Islam, when you do it, Allah will reward you, as we mentioned. There is another ibadah that the age of puberty is not required. Which one? MashaAllah. No, you got $5. Zakat. So somebody is 1 year old. Imagine his father died and left him millions of dollars. He has to pay zakat after 1 year, because zakat has nothing to do with the age of puberty. Zakat has to do with what? Two things. An-nisab, you reach the quorum, and it stays with you for 1 year. The other one that you mentioned, all of you, mashallah, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. And he used to brag about that. He became Muslim at the age of, yeah, there is differences between the scholars. Some of them, they said 5. That is the minimum. Some of them, they say 10. But still, he's young boy, subhanallah. Somebody might use this hadith. He said, Sheikh, what are you talking about? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ Talat. He said, the pen will not hold these three accountable. One of them is as-sabi, the one who's under the age of puberty. So how we respond to this hadith? Because this hadith is talking that here, the hadith, Allah will not punish him if he does something wrong before Of course, when are the little boys, does not mean that you go and do something wrong. And what we said, if you do something good, what will happen? What will happen if you do something good? MashaAllah. You know this Isha that you prayed? You know how much Allah is putting in your good skills? A lot. MashaAllah. So no, you don't miss any prayer, okay? And whenever you pray, what you have to say? Make dua for your parents. Because they are the one that tells you to pray. Say, Allahumma arhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. MashaAllah. I'm so happy that, I'm so confident that people will take over, inshallah. So now, these are the topic, and we're going to conclude it with something very important, my brothers. How the Prophet ﷺ used to treat the little children. Amazing. Because if you want to achieve the khutbah, it starts in the beginning, at home. The Prophet ﷺ, how he used to respect them. Because that's how they become men and women. One time the Prophet, and this hadith in al-Bukhari, one time when the Prophet ﷺ, he was given some milk, I think, some drink. And you know, the Prophet ﷺ, most of the time his sitting is in form of what? A circle. Subhanallah. Why? That's why when somebody comes, a stranger, he doesn't know who's the Prophet. Look, his humbleness. In a circle, who's not like the kings and so on. Everybody what? And they are, yeah. That's why we remember the fiqh of Salah. If the Imam, God forbids, is sick, and he decided to lead the prayer, but he cannot lead while standing, and he decided to sit and pray. What is the ruling of the people behind him? They have to sit down. You don't stand up. Why? Because that is forbidden. Because the kings and so on, that they used to sit, and everybody standing. Even look to the prayer, subhanallah. I know somebody says, okay, this imam should not lead us. But that is the sunnah that we need to know. So when the Prophet ﷺ finished, and the boy was sitting beside him, that's why, please, I don't know where we get this from, but we need to, in the first row, when the little one, above 7 at least, they are taking a place, you have no right to come and tell him, go back. You have no right. Because that's his right. Somebody might say, well, the hadith says, liyalini, those who should come behind me and after me immediately, the adults, the wise, this and that. Does not mean that this place is reserved for them. But this hadith means that they have to come what? Early and take the place. But if somebody taking the place, you have no right to tell him, go in the back and so on. And the little ones, when you have that, don't say, well, he's older than me, let's give him this place and you go back. That is nice of you, but don't do that. Yeah, because that is your place, and the first row and the second row, you know how much difference of reward between them? Like between heavens and earth. So remember this. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, look, subhanallah, this is how you raise man and woman. He said, would you allow me to give to the one on my left? Because he's an adult. And I think it was Abu Bakr and so on. The boy told him what? No. I'm not going to give preference to somebody because now we fight over your leftover. And you want me to give it to somebody? The Prophet gave him. He said, yes, you're right. So imagine these things, what we'll do to the person. Because sometimes a teacher can make you or break you. And unfortunately, back home, I don't know, the job of the teacher is to break you. Wallahi, they used to challenge us. They said, hey, look, if you pass the class, come and spit on my face. Ya, what? What's between me and you? I'm not fighting with you. But this is the way it is. Sometimes you answer all the questions, and he give you 90. He doesn't give you 100. You ask him why. He says, if I give you 100, what is the difference between you and me? So I have to be above you. That is reality. As parents also, never say to your children, you are nothing, you are a failure, you are this, you are that. Your brother is better than you. Allah always will give you children in 3 categories. Some of them, we call them what? The runner. And those are dearer to us. What does it mean, the runner? MashaAllah, they do everything fast and so on. You don't have to do any effort with them. And we love them. And we compare others to them. Look, he's better than you. Comparing equal killing. But this is just test. Allah will give you another one, another child that he is what? The first one is a runner. The other one? Not lazy, Allah yahdik. Don't use this term. A walker. He walks. So he's going to get there. And this one also, we accept him. Who's the one that we have problem with? And always he suffers, not because he's bad, because of our ignorance and arrogance sometimes. I wish I didn't have you, because you make me shame, you make me this, you make me that. It's the one that you try with him, everything or her, and no result. Nothing. Then you get frustrated, you do this. This one, what he needs, really, or what she needs, 2 things. Patience and what? And encouragement. This one, we call him what? The jumper. If you encourage one day, he doesn't walk or run, he jumps. And he is over there. So Allah is testing you, because he wants to see you. Are you grateful for what he gives you? Our Shaykh, may Allah have rahmah on his soul, he has many boys. All of them memorize the Quran except one. He doesn't even know the short surahs. But the Shaykh, mashallah, he told him, I know you cannot memorize the Quran, but I know that Allah has given you something else. My job is to find out your talent, what Allah has given you. Look, subhanallah. And don't worry about the society, what is going to say. Well, I'm the Sheikh, and you don't even memorize, and this, and that, and that. That's why, please. But now he's old. Before, he used to suffer, my son. Oh, you are the son of the Sheikh. Why you don't know this? Why you don't know this? كل ميسر لما خلق له. Allah created people and he set the road for each one. If your son is an apple tree, do not make it an orange. Everybody comes with their blueprint. I don't know tonight. The other one is the positive teaching. And one boy, I think he's the son of Abu Salama. And after that, he becomes what? Because Abu Salama passed away, and the Prophet married. Aywa. So he was about 4 or 5 years old. And at that time, they put the food together. And he said, my hand was playing in the plate. Eating from here, eating from here. So the positive teaching, he didn't mention the mistake, the Prophet ﷺ. So what was the mistake? Eating from everywhere. So the Prophet, look what he said in the beginning. Ya ghulam. Look, Ya ghulam. MashaAllah. إذا أكلت فسم الله. When you eat, mention the name of Allah. This is not the mistake, but this is called the lubrication. If you want to correct, you make lubrication. You know what is the job of lubrication? To make it easy to swallow it. And he said, and eat with your right hand. Okay? Then the third one, he said, وَكُلْ مِمَّا يَلِيكَ, and eat from what is close to you. That is called positive teaching, and you don't embarrass, you don't put, and especially with your children, please, please. Don't say, why the problem? Because they are fragile in your hand, how you deal with them, and this and that. The other one, you call them with their best name. And especially if you give them the kunya. Let's revive this sunnah. What does it mean kunya? I agree with my son. What do you want to be called? If you have son, what do you want to name that son, or this or that? Then call him that. Yusuf, what's going to be your son? You don't know. Not discussed yet. The Prophet, he used to call them this or that, Abu Kada, Abu Kada. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he called the brother of Anas, and Anas, his brother, what's his name? He used to call him Aba Umair. Oh, the father of Umair. And he was a little boy. And he used to have a bird, and he named the bird what? An-Nughayr. And the Prophet used to come and say, Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'al an-Nughayr. Subhanallah. May Allah help us to follow his. And one time, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was very young, and he told him, Ya Ghulam, you are a learned person. And that's why Abdullah ibn Mas'ud became one of the greatest scholars of the Sahaba, mashallah. And the last one, even when you help them and teach them what to do. One time the Prophet ﷺ was passing by, and he saw a boy skinning a sheep. MashaAllah, a boy skinning a sheep. Then the Prophet told him, wait, let me teach you how to do it. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he put his hand and he took the skin out and this, and he said, this is how you do it next time. So may Allah protect our children, and may Allah help us to deal with them, and inshallah may Allah open the heart and the mind of the people to Islam, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If any question, we can take one question, but mashallah, leave it this way. It was short and sweet. وجزاكم. وعليكم السلام.